Good morning, children. Today we are going to see grade 9 history lesson number 3 Nazism and the rise of Hitler. So, this is the continuation of the lesson for the second video. The same lesson, it is the continuation of the same lesson and it is the second video. The first one, destruction of democracy. So, already we know what is democracy. Here the destruction means if there is no democracy means what will happen? The dictatorship, one man army will started. So on 30th January 1933, President Hindenburg, he was the President Hindenburg, offered the chancellorship, the highest position in the cabinet of minister, to Hitler. So the President Hindenburg offered, so it became a chance for him, for Hitler, to make his power very strong. Then, in the fire degree on 28 February 1933 was made. According to that fire degree, what happened? It suspended civic rights like freedom of speech, press, and assembly, and had been guaranteed by the Weimar Constitution. What are all guaranteed by the Weimar Constitution was now it was suspended by the fire degree which was made by Hitler. Third one, the March 3rd, 1933 Enabling Act. What do you mean by Enabling Act? The famous Enabling Act was passed. This act established dictatorship in Germany. This act made them Hitler as a dictator in Germany. All political parties and trade unions were banned except for the Nazi party. The state established complete control over the economy, media, army, and judiciary. How he made? He was able to made with the storm troopers. These included Gestapo. Gestapo means a secret police, secret state police. Then the SS. What is the SS? The protection squad. Then criminal police and security service, it was known as ST in the short form. So with these forces he was able to make the dictatorship from the March 3rd, 1933. Next we have to see reconstruction. What is reconstruction? That means he is making the country, the Germany, to be a strong one. The first one we have to see Halmer Sachert. Halmer Sachert was a Sachert was an economist. He was a economist, and then he wanted to aim at a full protection and full employment through the state-funded work creation program. This project produced the famous German superhighways and the people's car Volkswagen. So, in the foreign policy also, Hitler acquired quite quick successes. He pulled out the League of Nations. He pulled out the League of Nations. That means he rejected the League of Nations. What are the conditions which was given in the First World War by the League of Nations? He never bothered about it. Then in 1938, under the slogan one people, one empire, and one leader. So what is who is the one empire? Hitler alone. Hitler alone, the one leader. In 1939, Germany invaded Poland. So, as Germany invaded Poland, this started a war with France and England. In September 1940, three-party pact, that means who are they? Germany, Italy, and Japan. These three joined together. They attacked US, but they faced defeat. So Nazi Germany installed a long. By the end of the 1940, Hitler was the pinnacle at his power. So reconstruction means he wanted to make the country a powerful one. By that he started the high German super highways, and then he make his country also in the politically by making an alliance with the Germany, Italy, and Japan. But what happened? They attacked USSR, but they were faced defeat. Next, we have to see US entry in the Second World War. US entry in the Second World War. What happened? It was the in the Japan who was started French Indochina and was planning an attack of US naval base in the Pacific. So Japan started his extended its support to Hitler and bombed US base at Pearl Harbor. At Pearl Harbor. So this was the incident that US was forced to indulge in war. So US was forced to indulge in the war because their 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 naval base was attacked by the Japan. So they bombed the dropping the atom bomb on Hiroshima in Japan, and it led to Hitler defeat also. Next we have to see what is the Nazi worldview. What is the Nazi worldview? So new ideology was made by Hitler. According to this, there was no equality between people, but only racial hierarchy. His view is blue eyed Nordic German Aryans were at the top. Blue eyed Nordic Aryans were the top. And the Jews were at the lowest rank. They came to be regarded as anti-race or the arch enemies of the Aryan. All the colored people were placed in between depending upon their external features. Hitler, Hitler racism from two persons. The first one was Charles Darwin and another one was Herbert Spencer. Darwin was a natural scientist who tried to explain the creation of plants and animals through the concept of evolution and nature selection. Then Herbert Spencer later added the idea of survival of the fittest. Survival of the fittest. Then, according to this idea, only those species survive on Earth that could adapt themselves to changing climatic conditions. So, what his aim is, his Germans only fittest to live in that country. Next, he followed the idea of Lebensraum. That means he believed that new territories had to be acquired for settlement. This would enhance the area of his mother country while enabling the settlers or new land to retain an intimate link with the place of their origin. It would also enhance the material resources and power of the German nation. So, if they conquer so much country that they are able to get the sources from that country. This was also his main idea to conquer other country. Next, we have to see establishment of racial state. Establishment of the racial state. Then he considered that pure, healthy, and Nordic race people were desirable. People who are undesirable, who are they? The Jews as well as Gypsies were considered as undesirable. They were considered as the undesirable people. Only they were seen as the only they were this meant that even those Germans who were impure also no right to exist. So under these conditions, many gypsies and blacks they were widely persecuted. You are able to see one room. This was known as the gas chamber. In the gas chamber, he allowed all the people to stay. Then, as a shower of poison gas was used to kill them. So added together, so he killed a lot of number of people. This is known as the chamber. Next, we have to see in the starting itself, the Jews are hated as the killer of the Christ. Then Christianity, the Jews had as a persecutor in the traditional Christian hostility towards Jews. They had been stereotyped as a killer of Christ and ushers. Ushers means money lender. The Jews were survived mainly through trade and money lending. They lived in separately marked areas called ghettos. They were often persecuted. They were often persecuted through periodic violence and from the land. Hitler's hatred of Jews and which held that conversion was no solution to the Jewish problem. It could be solved only through their total elimination. Total elimination. How they can be eliminated totally by using these kind of gas chambers. Next, we have to see racial utopia. Racial utopia. Then Hitler also occupied Poland. Poland was divided into northwestern Poland. It was annexed to Germany. Poles were forced to leave their homes and properties behind to be occupied by the Hete. Germans bought it from the occupied Europe. Poles were, that means the people from the Poles. They were herded like the cattle. They have behaved like the cat. They were treated as a cattle. The members of the Polish children who looked like Aryans were forcibly snatched from their mother and examined by race expert. If they passed the race test, they were raised in German families, and if not, they were deposited in orphanage where most perished. With some of the large ghettos and gas chambers, the general government also served the killing field for the few. See the lot of chapels there. It was left by the Jews and the people before going to the gas chamber. So, racial utopia, he made the genocide war. Genocide means already I told, killing the lot of number of people. Next, we have to see youth in Germany. Youth in Germany. Then what happened in schools under Nazism? What happened? All schools were cleansed and purified. This meant that teachers who were Jews or considered as politically unreliable were dismissed. Children were first segregated. Germans and Jews could not sit together or play together. They were they were not sit together or play together. They were considered as undesirable children. The Jews, the physically handicapped children are the people, and the gypsies were thrown out of the school. They were not given admission in the school on ground of their religion. And finally, in 1914, they were taken to the gas chamber. They were taken to the gas chamber. Good German children were subjected to process of Nazi schooling, a prolonged period of ideological training. School textbooks were rewritten. School textbooks were rewritten. The children were taught to be loyal. The children were to be taught to be loyal, hate Jews, but they have to worship Hitler. So from the childhood itself, they were brainwashed that they have to be loyal, hated to Jews, and also they must be iron-hearted. But what they have to worship Hitler. Then even the functions of the sports was to nurture a spirit of violence and aggression among children. Hitler believed that boxing would make children iron-hearted, strong and masculine. Strong and masculine. Then it was told 10 years, it was considered 10 years old boys has to go, and they have to go in the organization that is known as junk folk. And the 14 years boy, they have to join in the Nazi youth organization. And the 18 years boy and above, they have to go to the what is this labor service. So from the childhood itself, they have divided like this the children, and they were treated, and they have to take care of their German in future. In that way, they were trained. The Youth League of the Nazi was founded in 1922. 4 years later, they unified the youth movement under Nazi control. So the youth in Nazi German, the next textbook were rewritten. He teach the new ideology. What is it? To be loyal, hated to Jews, iron-hearted, and worship Hitler. The 10 years old, 10 years boys has to be in junk folk organization, 14 year boys Nazi youth organization, and 18 years boy in labor service. Next, we have to see Nazi cult of motherhood. Nazi cult of motherhood. What is that? The children in Nazi Germany were repeatedly told that women were radically different from men. The fight for equal rights for men and women that had become a part of democratic struggles. While boys were taught to be aggressive, masculine, and steel hearted, girls were told that they had to become good mother and rear pure-blooded Aryan children. They had to rear pure-blooded Aryan children. Girls had to maintain the purity of the race. They have to maintain the purity of the race themselves from the Jews. They have to look after the home and teach their children the Nazi value. They had to be bearers of the Aryan culture and race. In 1933, Hitler said, "In my state, the mother is the most important citizen." So all the mothers were not treated equally. And then why? Because he wanted that the Germany must be the more in population to encourage the give birth to the more children. He wanted to encourage the women to give more children. For that, what he do for a four children, those the mother is having four children, they have given bronze cross. For six children, they have given silver cross. For the mother having a 8 or above children, they have given gold cross. Why? In order to increase their population. So the honor crosses were awarded, and also he favored the treatment in hospitals and also concession in shop and also on theater tickets and railway fare also. Next, then those who maintained the contact with Jews, Poles, and Russians, they were considered as a criminal offense. How they were? They were shaved heads, blackened faces, and placards hanging that I have sullied the honor of the nation. Many received jail sentence and lost civic honor as well as their husbands and families for this criminal offense. So the girls, those who are having with the Jews or other anti-Germans, they were considered as a criminal offense. So the Nazi cult of motherhood, in order to encourage more population, the mother has to give more children. Four children for bronze cross, and then six children silver cross, for eight children gold cross. Next we have to see act of propaganda. What do you mean by act of propaganda? The Nazi regime used language, media, and often to grid. The terms they coined to disable their various practice are not only deceptive. The Nazi never used the word. They never used the word kill or murder. Instead of that, they use the word special treatment, final solution, or evocation, reporting people like that only. Or they use the word disinfected area. Media was carefully used to win the support for the regime and popularize it worldwide. Nazi idea was spread through visual image, radio, film, poster, catchy slogan, and leaflet. In poster, the groups identified as the enemies of Germans were stereotyped. Stereotype means often going on saying the same word so that it was registered in the minds of the other people. They were the mocked, abused, and described as evil. Socialists and liberals were represented as weak. They were even the propaganda films they were made to create as a hatred one. Then next, they were in the film also, they were shown for having a long beard, wearing a haftan. In reality, it is difficult to distinguish German Jews by their appearance. They are often referred as vermin, rats, and pests. So the Jews were often referred as a vermin or the rats and the pest in their public propaganda. Nazism worked on the minds of the people and turned their hatred and anger at those the people. So their aim was Nazi alone could solve all their problems. Next we have to see ordinary people and the crime against humanity. So, what happened? They used to mark the houses of the Jews and reported the suspicious neighbor also. So, on fearing that kind of incident, what happened? Most of the people were passive onlookers. They were not the Jews or anything. Just they are going on as a passive onlookers. Here they have given one poem. It was written by Pastor Newmuller. He was written in the poem. He has mentioned that he was not a Jew, so they did a little only. When they came for me, there was no one left who could stand up for me. So he has written in the poem. He was not a communist, he was not a social democrat, he was not a trade unionist, he was not a Jew. That's why they have did little. Like that in the poem he has written. Then another one lady, that is Charlotte Porter. He has written everything in the diary. Later it was came into the book called Third Reach of Dreams. Reichstag is the parliament of the German. She has mentioned in the Third Reach of Dreams. Say, the Jews themselves began believing in the Nazi stereotypes about them. They dreamt of their hook noses, black hair and eyes, Jews' looks and body movement. They troubled them even in their dreams. Jews died many deaths even before they reached to the gas chamber. Even before they reached to the gas chamber, many of them died. Next, we have to see knowledge about the Holocaust. What do you mean by Holocaust? Holocaust is a kind of killing operation. Holocaust is a killing operation. While the Germans were preoccupied, the Nazi killing operation was called as the Holocaust. That means, what is it? The people in spirit to bear witness. At this height, a ghetto inhabitant had said to another that he wanted to outbid the war on behalf of the Havar. Then the indominant spirit to bear witness. On the other hand, when the war seemed lost, the Nazi leadership distributed petrol to function, distributed the petrol to in in order to close or the end to the evidence that was available in the office. When they are giving when the Nazism was seemed lost, the Nazi dictatorship was seems to be going to last. During that time, they given distributed petrol to to wipe to demolish all the evidence. But anyhow, the memories of the Holocaust live on in memories, fiction, documentaries, poetry, memorial, and museums in any parts of the world today. So, this is the second video. I thank you, dear.